Hey, welcome to Revenza Tales, where we explore dramatic tales of betrayal and grand comebacks that'll have you stuck to your screen. If you're addicted to stories of clever revenge, press that subscribe button, enable notifications, and give us a like to be part of our vengeful clan. Leave your own stories of being brave in the face of betrayal in the comments below. Can't wait to read them. Imagine a flawless suburban home, ivy crawling up its walls, concealing an unraveling marriage built on deceit and domination. This is Sarah's story, a woman who believed love equaled shrinking to fit into another's reality until a heartless wager ignited her struggle to reclaim it all. Prepare for an account of heartbreak, guile, and a revenge that will leave you at a loss for words. Sarah Bennett resided in a suburban Massachusetts town, its streets lined with oak trees and the soft scent of ocean salt imbuing her two-story colonial house with a postcard-perfect beauty. Behind its doors, however, it was a set upon which she acted a part she never wanted. Sarah was 32 years old and once a promising graphic designer, with her sharp logos and sophisticated brand work commanding freelance jobs throughout Boston. But 6 years ago, she put her own career on hold to accommodate her husband, Michael Carter, a 38-year-old marketing executive on the rise at a high-flying Boston company. Early on, their marriage was a partnership. Sarah would work late nights honing Michael's presentations, her eye for design spotting mistakes his coworkers overlooked, while he would plant a kiss on the cheek and refer to her as his secret weapon. But eventually, his fondness dissipated, giving way to harsh remarks that hurt like splinters. At a neighbor's summer cookout, he'd snicker and comment, "Sarah's dress is bold, isn't it?" And she'd change into something less flashy from her favorite green dress. Or at dinner parties he'd snicker, "Sarah's dinner is an adventure," eliciting laughter that forced her into a weak smile. Her family had taught her fortitude. Her mother's words, "You bend but you don't break," rang in her head, but Michael's barbs made her feel as though she was disappearing. She ceased sketching in her cherished notebook, its pages that once swelled with bright ideas. She spoke to her sister, Emily, less frequently, avoiding inquiries about her diminishing universe. She even ceased wearing her trademark scarves after Michael labeled them tacky. Sarah's life was a tightrope, every step calculated to please him, every laugh synchronized with his mood. 5 days from Christmas, something changed. Sarah was balancing a tray of mulled wine, glasses clinking gently, when she stopped in the hall of their house. Michael's voice, smug and low, carried through the living room. "She'll break apart when I serve her with the divorce papers," he said. His college buddy, James, chuckled, a grating sound reflected off the walls. "What system? You think she'll beg you to stay?" James queried, his beer bottle banging against the coffee table. "Oh, she'll be a mess," Michael answered, his voice full of conviction. Sarah's feet rooted to the hardwood floor, her breath catching, her heart pounding in her ears. The tray trembled in her hands, but she didn't drop it. She stood hidden in her own house, hearing her husband place his bets on her breakdown. They were unaware she was standing there, ignorant of her listening. She could have charged in, have demanded to know, but a still voice, perhaps her mother's, told her to remain quiet, to hear, to plot. That evening, when James had gone and Michael had slept, Sarah sat at the kitchen table, the only light a solitary candle's flame. Its beam calmed the frantic thoughts. She'd spent years telling herself this was marriage. Security, not a fairy tale, but security shouldn't feel like a trap. She reminded herself of Emily, who'd started anew after a poisonous breakup, and her childhood friend Lauren, a wise-eyed attorney who never fell for Michael's charm. Both had recognized what Sarah hadn't. She was disappearing. Instead of crying, she pulled a notebook from a drawer, once used for grocery lists, and wrote, "He thinks I'll break." The words stared back, raw and real. They were hers, and so was the fire kindling in her chest. Michael thought he knew her, thought he could predict her tears. He was wrong. Sarah wasn't the woman he married anymore. Not soft, not fragile. She was becoming something sharper, something he'd never expect. The cracks in their marriage were not new ones. They'd been there for years, hidden behind forced grins and nervous silence. Michael excelled at making cruelty pass for humor, as if Sarah were part of the joke. At a Cape Cod clam bake, he'd lean across the table and whisper, "Don't embarrass me in front of the firm's partners," as if her laugh was too hearty or her tail too long. She'd nod, shrinking herself smaller. By the time she eavesdropped on his wager with James, she knew she'd been whittling down for so long she barely recognized herself. It began innocently, Michael teasing at social gatherings, "Sarah would be adrift without me." His palm on her shoulder, warm but weighty. She'd laugh because the group did, but with every instance, a harder knot formed deep within her. She quit wearing her beloved cardigan after he'd referred to it as dowdy. She ceased having Lauren over because he'd mock her legal jargon. Her universe contracted, revolving around Michael's moods, his approval, his boundaries. She defended him at first. One summer, Lauren witnessed one of his jokes at a backyard barbecue concerning Sarah having forgotten the potato salad. "He's just kidding," Sarah said afterward, stirring iced tea on Lauren's porch. Lauren's lawyer's mind cut through the alibi, eyes narrowing. "He's dimming you, Sarah," she said. Sarah brushed it off, but the words lingered like a shadow. The shift came one night after a Boston gala, where Michael, 3 whiskeys deep, had charmed the room. In the car, his eyes turned cold. "You're just like the rest of them," he muttered, words slurring with venom in C. Sarah didn't ask what he meant. She'd stopped asking questions long ago. When they got home, he stormed to the liquor cabinet as she poured him a drink. Her hands steady, her smile practiced. "Maybe we should sign something," she said lightly, "since you keep joking about leaving." He laughed, a harsh, careless sound, and scribbled his name on a napkin. "Notarize it if you're so worried," he slurred. Then 10/27/2025 then passed out. He forgot by morning, but she didn't. The following day, Sarah visited Lauren at her law office in downtown Boston. Lauren unfolded the napkin, her eyes furrowed. "This could be helpful," she told Sarah, reaching into her desk drawer and handing her a fireproof envelope. "This is your lifeline." Sarah folded the paper neatly and slipped it into her purse, her determination strengthening. That evening, Sarah prepared Michael's favorite pasta, her hands firm as she stirred the sauce, smiling at his work stories while he scrolled his phone, unaware of her shift. Her gaze rested on him, not with affection, but with a cold, analytical intent, interpreting every movement for flaws in his mask. Since the napkin incident, Sarah had become a collector, not of sentimental moments, but of hard evidence to shield herself. She purchased a simple spiral notebook, hiding it under her mattress, out of Michael's sight. At night, when he snored, she filled its pages, chronicling his actions with clinical detail. She wrote down the date he wandered in reeking of whiskey and a floral fragrance she did not possess. She documented his biting comment on her inability to repair the dripping kitchen sink, his voice dripping with disdain. She noted the way he laughed when she proposed a weekend trip, his humor biting enough to draw flinching from her. This was not a journal of feelings. It was an account book of facts, every entry a move toward her liberty. At a corporate gala in Boston, Michael's brutality reached new extremes. While Sarah was talking with a coworker about her past graphic design projects, her voice humming with scarce enthusiasm, Michael cut her off. "Sarah's little hobbies keep her occupied," he said, his smile ablade, prompting a polite chuckle from the colleague. Sarah excused herself to the restroom, staring at her reflection in the dim mirror, her jaw tight. "He thinks I'm weak," she whispered to herself, but the woman staring back was anything but. She discovered that evening, digging through his jacket pocket, a crumpled receipt from a hotel bar dinner for 2, dated for an evening he'd said was spent with a late client meeting. She photographed it with her phone, sent it to Lauren's private email account, and replaced the original, her hands calculated, her heart calm. Her universe contracted to their colonial house, its white shutters and groaning floorboards concealing the unease inside. She quit going to her book club, its raucous argument now a distant memory. She barely called Emily, avoiding her sister's anxious texts to sidestep telling her why she'd gone quiet. She quit posting her drawings online, her former colorful Instagram sitting idle. But out of that isolation, Sarah gained clarity, her mind sharpening like a blade put away in secret. She started recording Michael's calls when he left his phone lying around, catching his smug chuckles with James over keeping Sarah in check. She saved screenshots of his text messages, flirtatious messages from unknown numbers, sent on his business trips. She transferred each file into a secure cloud folder, password protected, a digital castle she constructed brick by brick. Every piece was a brick in a wall, not to trap Michael, but to shield herself from his betrayal. Lauren checked in weekly, meeting Sarah at a cozy Cambridge cafe, her lawyer's eyes scanning the room for privacy. "You're not alone," Lauren said, her voice firm, her own past watching her mother endure a toxic marriage fueling her resolve to help. Emily texted, feeling Sarah's distance without pushing, her own rebuilt life a gentle reminder of what was possible. Sarah wasn't ready to open up, but their support grounded her, a lifeline in the storm. Michael didn't realize she went quieter, her smiles more calculated, taking her compliance for defeat. He thought he'd broken her, thought she'd softened under his hand. He was wrong. Sarah turned into a mirror, reflecting the ideal wife Michael desired. Pleasant, poised, predictable. She laughed at his jokes at dinner parties, filled his wine glass with a steady hand, and nodded as he bragged about his new marketing campaign. Behind the facade, she was shaping herself into something unbreakable. She taped his late-night calls to James, their chuckles echoing through the empty house, taunting her alleged ignorance. She discovered another receipt, this one for a Boston hotel room, the bill that included champagne and late evening room service. She jotted down the date, comparing it to his calendar. She saw a light smudge of bright red lipstick on his collar, a color she would never wear, and later discovered a crumpled wrapper in his car that matched its color. Michael became careless, leaving money on the counter from mysterious ATM withdrawals, his bank statements revealing transfers he never spoke of. He came back from vacations with crisp pressed shirts and a perfume he never used in the house, its fragrance hanging like a tease. Sarah did not accuse him. She documented all the details, her notebook expanding daily, her determination unshakable. She sat down with Lauren in a cafe along the harbor, where her friend wrote an addendum to their prenup, closing loopholes to secure Sarah's financial and legal position. "He'll never anticipate this," Lauren said, pushing the paper down the table, her eyes shining with stealthy satisfaction from a decade of battling on behalf of clients like her mother. Sarah nodded, her thumb outlining the paper, sensing the gravity of her scheme firmify. At home, she played her role flawlessly. When Michael mocked her grocery spending at a neighbor's potluck, she smiled and said, "You're right, I'll be more careful," her voice sweet as poison. At a Boston rooftop party, as he bragged about a promotion she knew was a lateral move to appease his old team, she raised her glass in a toast, her eyes locked on his, unreadable. He believed she was yielding to his command. She was constructing her exit. Every evening, Sarah monitored her notebook, her flash drive, her secret email, her parachute, as Lauren referred to it. She wasn't seeking vengeance for the thrill of it. She needed protection, an escape from the cage Michael had constructed for her. 2 weeks before Christmas, the last piece fell into place. Michael fell asleep on the couch, his phone unlocked, a message from James glowing on the screen. "She's clueless. File on Christmas for maximum impact. I'll bring popcorn." A laughing emoji followed, then a gif of a crying woman. Sarah's hands didn't tremble as she screenshot the text, emailed it to Lauren's secure account, and deleted the evidence from his phone. She slept next to him that night, looking at the ceiling, the soft Christmas tree lights casting shadows on the walls. Michael believed he'd written the script for her fall, a cold holiday twist to shatter her. But Sarah was penning her own story. Christmas dinner was her stage. Not for drama, but for witnesses. Emily would attend with her toddler, Michael's parents, and James, all seated around the table. Sarah spent the days beforehand preparing carefully, perfecting the prenup addendum with Lauren, filling a discreet emergency bag stashed behind her closet door, and smiling at herself in the mirror until it seemed natural. This wasn't vengeance. It was taking back her life, securing her future. She remembered her mother, who'd endured her own battles with stoic strength, and Emily, who'd emerged from heartbreak to flourish. Their strength energized her own. Michael's pride inflated as Christmas approached. He'd wink at James at breakfast, grumbling about big surprises for the holidays. Sarah went along, putting garland on the house and candles in the windows, roasting a turkey, and wearing the maroon sweater he approved of, its snowflake pattern concealing her determination. Underneath, her heart pulsed with determination. She wasn't the woman he teased anymore. She was prepared. The morning after Christmas, Sarah awoke to silence. Michael was gone, no note, no keys, only an empty hook near the door. She had a locksmith, a soft-spoken man with kind eyes and calloused fingers, come before the sun was up. "See that his keys don't unlock anything," she said, handing over the old set of keys, her tone firm. He nodded, working quickly, changing all the locks by noon. Sarah stood in the entrance, holding a new key, its weight a silent vow of possession, the first thing she'd owned completely for years. The colonial home, still thick with Michael's cedar cologne, was a stranger's territory. She flung open every window, the cold December air rushing in, chasing away his presence. She ripped the sheets off their bed, their fabric now carrying his scent, and shoved them into black garbage bags. In the closet, she discovered a box of lavender candles, ones she'd loved before Michael had declared them too strong. She lit 7, their struggling flames casting shadows on the walls, turning the master bedroom into her haven. She covered his icy gray walls with warm ivory, draped sheer linen curtains, and slept sprawled over the king-size bed, occupying every corner. Emily came with her toddler, assisting Sarah to box up Michael's suits and ties, the little girl giggling as they folded. "Merry Christmas, Sarah," Emily said, handing her a mug of cocoa, eyes warm with pride. Sarah smiled, genuinely, feeling a part of herself come alive again. The weeks that followed were one silent rebellion, every day a step to reclaiming her domain. Sarah painted the nursery a muted sage green, daring Michael's former sneer that it was boring. She draped stringy fairy lights around the window, placed a soft elephant next to a second-hand crib she sanded down herself, and sensed her daughter kick as she worked, a shiver that anchored her determination. But there was tension still, Michael's absence too easily felt, like a storm brewing back. Sarah discovered an anonymous envelope slid under the door one night, with a single photo of her standing at the Harborside Cafe with Lauren. No note, no signature, just the image, its edges creased as if gripped tightly. Her pulse quickened. Had Michael been watching, or was it James trying to intimidate her? She called Lauren, who urged her to install a security camera. Her lawyer's voice steady but concerned. "You're close to winning, but stay sharp," Lauren said. Sarah hid the photo in her notebook, her paranoia growing but her determination fiercer. Lauren came by with legal news, her briefcase full of documents, her smile pointed. "Michael's attorney is frantic." She drank tea on Sarah's sofa. "The prenup amendment has him cornered. He'll lose half his wealth if he contests it." Sarah didn't mind winning. She wanted a future for herself and her daughter, not under Michael's shadow. His universe fell apart as hers sprouted. His company shelved him. His name disappeared from their annual report, and rumors of his unreliable behavior were shared among co-workers. James ceased taking his calls, his booming laughter silenced by chilly reserve. Sarah didn't taunt. She was too occupied discovering herself again. She purchased jasmine soap, its fragrance a subtle rebellion, and sang softly while preparing meals, her kitchen wafting the scent of fresh herbs. She revived her graphic design career, working late into the night, pencils weaving patterns across pages once blank. Emily and Lauren were her supports, Emily with her steely resolve, Lauren with her ferocious loyalty and freshly baked scones. One snowy night, Sarah saw Michael on a Boston street. His coat too light for the snow. His phone clamped to his ear, voice low and panicked. He didn't notice her, his eyes empty, his gaze on the sidewalk. Her heart didn't stutter. She continued walking, boots crunching over snow, mind clear. She came home, lit a candle in the sunroom, drank peppermint tea barefoot. Felt the house breathe with her, alive to possibility. Lauren came to stay in the guest room in Sarah's second trimester. Her suitcases full of art supplies and fuzzy socks. "You're not facing this alone," Lauren said, handing Sarah a raspberry scone. Her warmth a mirror of her own fight to rebuild after a failed gallery. They painted the nursery together, debating curtain colors, laughing until their sides ached when Lauren botched a rocking chair assembly. "This is your redemption arc," Lauren said, tossing the manual aside with a grin. The first time Sarah felt her daughter kick, she was cutting peaches in the kitchen, a Nina Simone record playing softly. The flutter stopped her, knife raised, her hands darting to her belly. Tears were because she was not crying out of sorrow, but out of wonder. Her daughter existed, fierce, hers. That evening, she wrote in a fresh leather journal. "She'll never hear shouting through walls. Never shrink from anger. Never mistake fear for love." She underscored it 4 times, a holy vow. Another creepy moment was when Sarah received a mysterious message on her phone from a blocked number. "Be careful what you begin." Her gut churned. Was it Michael, or someone he'd paid off to make her uncomfortable? She texted it to Lauren, who tracked the number to a burner phone, not traceable. "Keep it up," Lauren commanded, her tone steel. Sarah put in a second camera, her determination unbroken. She uncovered their torn-up old wedding photos in a box of dust, their satin ribbons torn. She didn't blink, simply put them in a donation bin with the sign to release, and took them to a charity store. Lauren drove, the jazz filling the car, making a stop at a bookstore where Sarah purchased a bulky journal, its pages ready for her dreams. Every evening she wrote. Plans for freelance work, wishes for her daughter, the letters "Freedom" in heavy ink. Her life was tiny but full, pulsing with Emily's lasagna, Lauren's goofy baby name suggestions, and their midnight laughter over tea. Christmas, a year from now, was hers, warm, uncomplicated, alive. The dinner table had no especial ornamentation, only Emily's mashed potatoes, Lauren's somewhat lumpy cranberry sauce, and a high chair for Sarah's daughter Lily. Lily's cheeks flushed, her small fists clutching her tray as she chattered happily. Emily's toddler hurled peas, giggling, as Emily's new boyfriend smiled at Lauren's stories of courtroom triumphs. Sarah's father carved the turkey, his hands firm, a peaceful contrast to Sarah's formerly trembling ones. The house was scented with pine and cinnamon, without tension. Laughter echoed, unfiltered, unmeasured. Sarah did not stand by the door, did not prepare for jabs. After dinner, she curled into an armchair by the fireplace, Lily asleep on her chest, her soft breaths warming Sarah's sweater. The room quieted as the others cleaned up, but Sarah stayed, sipping cocoa, whispering to Lily. "He said I'd be nothing," she murmured, kissing her daughter's forehead. "We're everything." She reflected on the woman she'd been, fading, silent, afraid, and how she'd fought to this moment, where peace was her reality. Emily, Lauren, her dad, they'd kept her upright, told her she was strong. Lily's hand closed around hers, and Sarah knew this was her triumph, not over Michael, but over herself and her child. The lesson of this tale is that betrayal can darken your light, but with unobtrusive strength and true friends, you can rebuild your life brighter than it was before, reminding us to keep to our value and cut our own ways. Thank you for being with Revenza Tales on this path of bravery and rebirth. Your support powers these tales of subtle strength. If Sarah's tale touched your heart, smash the like button, share with friends, and subscribe with notifications on for more stories of winning over betrayal. Comment below. What is your story of overcoming? We'll catch you in the next video. Stay strong, stay subscribed.